All right, let's jump right in. Way out in the deserts of Turkey, there's a secret, and it's completely flipping the script on everything we thought we knew about human history. The place is called Göbekli Tepe, and what we're finding there, it's making it look like the entire story of our past, well, it might just be flat out wrong. Yeah, I mean, listen to this quote. Everything we were told about our ancestors is a flat out lie. That's the idea at the heart of all this. It's a huge claim, I know, but wait till you see the evidence that's backing it up. It is staggering. So to really get your head around how wild this is, you have to look at a timeline. Göbekli Tepe was built about 11,600 years ago. Now let that sink in. This place is older than Stonehenge and the Great Pyramid combined. I mean, when people were just starting to move the first stones at Stonehenge, this temple was already ancient history, buried for thousands of years. It's just mind-bending. So what is this place exactly? Well, it's this huge complex of massive stone circles, full of these incredible, intricately carved pillars. And here's the kicker, the big problem. The official story of history says the people who built it, they just shouldn't have been able to. They were supposed to be simple hunter-gatherers, you know? No cities, no farming, no big, complex societies. Or so we thought. And let's just talk about the sheer scale here for a second. Some of the T-shaped pillars at this site weigh up to 50 tons. 50 tons! To put that into perspective for you, that's like stacking 3 big school buses on top of each other. And somehow, these ancient people quarried these massive blocks and then hauled them up a steep hill, with no wheels, no draft animals to help pull. How on earth did they do that? And the list of hows just keeps getting longer. The pillars aren't just big, they're covered in these beautiful, complex carvings of animals. That takes serious skill. And think about it. A project this big would need a massive, organized society. You'd need people to feed a huge workforce for, what, decades? None of this lines up with our picture of small, nomadic groups of hunter-gatherers. Which brings us right back to the central, nagging question that's been driving archaeologists crazy. How could a society without cities, without agriculture, possibly pull something like this off? It doesn't make any sense. The pieces of the puzzle just don't fit. Okay, but here's where the story takes a really sharp turn. A new study, one from 2025, according to the source material, brought some serious 21st century tech to the site. We're talking artificial intelligence, analyzing these ancient stones in ways that were never possible before. And what the AI found? Well, it takes this whole mystery to another level, a chilling one even. So, the team used these super precise 3D laser scanners. We're talking tech that can see details smaller than a human hair. And they fed all that data into an AI. They were basically asking it to look for patterns humans might have missed over the years. And bingo, the AI flagged 3 major discoveries that, well, let's just say they defy any conventional explanation. First up, perfect geometry. The AI figured out that the exact centers of the 3 oldest stone circles form a perfect equilateral triangle. And when I say perfect, I mean the precision is mind-boggling. It's accurate to a fraction of an inch over hundreds of feet on a bumpy, uneven hillside. This points to a knowledge of geometry we thought the ancient Greeks invented thousands of years later. So, how? Second, the tool marks are just impossible. See, when you cut stone with other stone tools, you get rough, jagged marks. But the 3D scans at Göbekli Tepe showed cuts that are perfectly straight, perfectly smooth. They look nothing like what we'd expect. In fact, one researcher said, and I quote, "It looks like the work of a robot, not a tired human working in the sun 12,000 years ago. The cuts are just too consistent, too perfect for human hands using primitive tools." And here's the thing. The AI scanned its entire database of known stone tools from that era. Not a single match. And there's absolutely zero evidence of metal on the site, no rust, no traces, nothing. So if they weren't using stone tools, and they weren't using metal, what in the world were they using? And this brings us to the third discovery. And honestly, this one might be the wildest of them all. The AI analysis found clear evidence of something called thermal shock quarrying. This is a seriously advanced technique. You heat the bedrock up to over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, then you douse it with ice-cold water. The sudden temperature change, the shock, cracks the stone in a perfectly straight line. This shows a mastery of physics, of chemistry that just shouldn't exist back then. But you know what the craziest part of all of this is? The biggest puzzle? There was no learning curve. None. Usually, with new technology, you'd see the clumsy first attempts, right? Trial and error. But not here. The very oldest pillars are the most perfect, the most flawlessly made. It's like the builders showed up on day one already masters of their craft. It suggests they weren't inventing something new. They were carrying on a tradition that was already ancient to them. Okay, so if how this place was built wasn't a big enough mystery for you, get this. The way it all ended is even weirder. After being used for about 1,500 years, the people who built this absolute masterpiece did something that is just unthinkable. They deliberately and painstakingly buried the entire thing. And we're not talking about just kicking some sand over it. They buried the whole site under more than 10 million cubic feet of dirt, rock, and bone. This was a massive, massive project. To give you some scale, that's enough material to fill the entire Empire State Building 10 times over. And they had to bring all that fill in from miles away. It was an engineering feat almost as big as building the temple in the first place, all just to hide it. And all the evidence points to this being some kind of strange ritual. Archaeologists have found human skulls with these deep, carved grooves in them. They've found statues that were deliberately smashed and buried face down. And the way the dirt is layered suggests the whole burial happened fast, really fast, like they were in a desperate race against the clock. So it just begs the question, what were they hiding from? Or, maybe even more chilling, what were they trying to preserve? Were they trying to hide something from the world, or were they trying to save it for the world? All right, so let's put all the pieces on the table. We have an impossibly advanced structure, built by people who shouldn't have been able to, who then turned around and buried their own masterpiece for reasons we can't fathom. So what does this all mean for the history book on your shelf? Is it just wrong? This leads us to the really radical theory that the source material presents. Maybe Göbekli Tepe isn't the dawn of civilization at all. Maybe it's the twilight, the last remnant of a much older, more advanced human culture that we've completely forgotten. The evidence suggests that something happened, maybe some global cataclysm, that just hit the reset button on human civilization, and all that advanced knowledge was suddenly lost. From this perspective, burying the temple wasn't an act of fear. It was an act of hope. It was a time capsule. The builders knew their world was ending, so they entombed their greatest achievement, almost like a message in a bottle, hoping that a future civilization, us, would one day dig it up and realize we weren't the first. And that leaves us with this final haunting thought. If our ancestors, thousands and thousands of years ago, had technology with machine-like precision, and if they could be wiped out so completely that we didn't even know they existed, does that mean history repeats itself? If they were reset, are we just living in the next cycle, waiting for our own reset button to be pushed? The stones at Göbekli Tepe might not give us the answer, but they force us to completely rethink the questions.